scientists to use indigenous knowledge and learn with and from the people whose situation is being studied. 4, the capacity to deal with various sectors of society and to link problems from the local to the global levels. 5, the capacity to take a long-term and intergenerational view and to anticipate global problems and national problems and future states of the world and the human condition. 6, the capacity to be problem-solving in the broad sense of the term and thus to be relevant and responsive to pressing global fears and anxieties, but especially the disadvantaged majorities who are poor and marginalized in many respects. 7, the ability to be on the frontiers or cutting edge of knowledge and learning, working with some of the leading scholars in various parts of the world. 8, the capacity to cooperate with universities in the region and other parts of the world. 9, the capacity to focus and unclutter her agenda. You see, we're trying to undertake many things, but we are also asked to unclutter our agenda, concentrating on fewer activities while maintaining a transnational presence for which it must have the will for closure and change whenever necessary. And 10, the overall ability to project an image as distinctive, useful, and valued a university in the perception and judgment, not of us here in UP, but of its national constituencies, and also in the view of other universities. Ideally, being the national university, UP should aim to develop the above capacities, those that I've mentioned, for itself, and in collaboration with other universities at home and abroad. It should first organize to develop and then sustain those capabilities. Dr. Flor Lacanilao urges UP to sustain her development for science and technology and how to do it in specific ways. Now, the second role, learning for truth. I use learning for truth in 2 ways. 1, to mean UP's primary role and responsibility as an institution of higher learning to help push the frontiers of knowledge and understanding in the physical and natural sciences, the social sciences, and the humanities and the arts. Independently of its immediate practical utility, this is a primary function and an end in itself of every university and community of scholars. Allied to this is the practical function of developing technology, or R&D, and the professions. By learning for truth, I also mean discovering other than scientific or empirical truth, as can be discerned by the human senses and by logic and experimentation. I mean especially our knowing the revealed truth in Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, and other religions and faiths. I also mean the truth we can discern from various ethical systems, secular truth. This would include the global ethic based on all faiths and ethical systems as synthesized by the great Catholic theologian Hans Küng and adopted by the Parliament of the World's Religions in Chicago in 1993. In particular, as Catholics predominantly, with respect to our Muslim and Buddhist brothers and sisters, with over 2 billion Christians around the world, we believe Jesus Christ when he said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." Our various faiths help us to understand the meaning and purpose of life on earth and beyond in ways that the natural and physical sciences cannot. To know what is good and beneficial to all of us, humans, and also as citizens. In this regard, I think UP has been too secular in not enabling faculty and students deliberately to learn from the world's religions and ethical systems. In UP, many among us may have misinterpreted the constitutional separation of church and state to also mean that we should avoid learning about religion in our courses. The preamble of our Constitution implores the aid of Almighty God in order to build a just and humane society and establish an ideal government. While accepting the value of secular morality, let us not go to the extreme that American liberals have banished God from their schools and public places. Let us realize that in the formation of good citizens, students, and leaders, we need to learn and practice the moral and ethical ideals and norms that our religions and civic cultures can teach us. Among them are the love of God and one's neighbor, truth, peace, equality, justice, honesty, patriotism, and not to kill. We need the humility and good sense to accept this truism, because many of our families and schools might have failed to inculcate these norms and virtues to the young. And maybe our society suffers from too much individualism, materialism, parochialism, and lawlessness. The observed moral bankruptcy of some of our leaders collectively, and the continuing failure of our democracy and development since about the mid-1960s are partly traceable to the self-seeking, cynical divorce of our politics and governance from morality and religion. We fail to follow the example of extraordinary leaders like Ramon Magsaysay, Emmanuel Pelaez, Jose W. Diokno, and Jovito Salonga, whose integrity comes from the oneness of their faith and politics. All our schools and universities, UP and religious organizations must help in training many more transforming leaders like them. Moreover, to become good persons and citizens and leaders, cultivating wisdom must be added to acquiring knowledge and skills as an aim of learning in the university. I'm quoting a scholar on wisdom. He said, finally, students who later become parents and leaders are always part of a greater community and hence will benefit from learning to judge rightly, soundly, or justly on behalf of the community. Now, the third role of UP in learning for leadership. For one, every faculty member in UP is expected to be a leader, or to be the best one can be in his or her chosen discipline or professional field. This means research, productive research and publication, or creative writing and the performing arts, as the case may be. It requires active involvement in one scientific or professional association, nationally and internationally. Exemplary work in community extension, volunteerism, public education, continuing education, or public service is also expected of the UP faculty as leaders. To contribute to the nation's learning for leadership, UP must do what it has not done consciously as a whole, as an institution. Individually and as a community of scholars, the faculty in every college should train and develop our students not only to achieve personal success or advancement for their own good, but also social success or for the welfare of the nation and posterity. Our students and graduates must be true to this moral and ethical ideal as they work in business, government, civil society, or in international organizations. Hindi lamang para sa sarili at pamilya, kundi para din sa kapwa at sa kapakanan ng bayan at ng sangkatauhan. Ito ang tunay na nasyonalismo, humanismo, at globalismo. Above all, UP should be the university of the people and for the people. Her faculty and researchers should provide knowledge and information and stimulate the awareness and enhance the leadership capacities of cause-oriented organizations and other grassroots movements seeking social change. UP faculty and students can help explain and demystify the workings of science and technology and of government, corporations, universities, and other social institutions as part of the process of empowering our people. UP should devise learning strategies for the masses who form the vast majority in our society. Dodong Nomenso and Randy David are doing precisely this kind of service. What is the emphasis of UP education? According to a study which we initiated in my time, that was some time ago, but I think it's still valid. and applicable. Maria Luisa Doronila and Lady Carino led this study. What has been the emphasis of UP education? According to the students, the qualities that the respective colleges wanted to develop in them were in the order of emphasis. First, leadership ability, 32%, which includes independence, articulateness, assertiveness, and self-confidence. Second, the work ethic, 27%. Notably, patience, discipline, diligence, resourcefulness, and efficiency. Not bad. Third, intellectual capacities, 24%, which include critical analytical thinking, academic excellence, and creativity. Below all these, a far fourth is social orientation, 11% lamang, showing relatively weak compassion, a weak sense of service, and a weak pro-people inclination. While ethical, moral uprightness, exemplified by honesty and integrity, was at the bottom of the list, 2.9% lamang. These perceptions of UP students of the kind of education they are getting in this university is disturbing and sobering. You will probably agree that while it is true that leadership ability, intellectual skills, and the work ethic are important qualities that you should acquire in college, it is social orientation, morality and ethics, with a vision beyond self and family, and give it moral purpose and humanity. Without the latter qualities, I'm afraid that a UP graduate remains ethically poor and illiterate. It is not enough to be an excellent professional, a smart person. It is equally or even more important to be a good man or woman, to be a good citizen of our country and a good member of the human race, a worthy child of God. Let's go to the fourth item, UP's role in learning for social transformation. As the Philippines National University, UP, I believe, should lead more vigorously in the nation's learning for this purpose, in collaboration with other colleges and universities and schools in the country, as well as with other sectors of society. Social transformation refers to a very real and purposeful endeavor and experience known to many among us and to all progressive nations. Nothing so esoteric, really. For us Filipinos, I would describe social transformation as the multifaceted struggle of changing and developing our Filipino nation from a weak, divided, slow-learning, and ineffective nation into a strong, united, faster-learning, and effective nation. A nation that is reflective, critical, creative, innovative, and regenerating, so that we Filipinos are much more able to solve our problems, satisfy our material, moral, and spiritual needs, and make progress in fulfilling our vision of the good society. We could also say that social transformation is transforming our weak nation into a strong nation and our self-state into an effective state, in which our various institutions are able to perform their functions well for the greater good of all Filipinos, because the rule of law and not of men prevails. The reason why Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, and China are forging well ahead of us is because, by and large, their people and leaders have been learning faster and more effectively than we in nation building, economic, social, and cultural development, science and technology, and governance.